Hey everyone, my name is Elizabeth Boyle, and for my case study analysis, I studied the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge. For this presentation, I'm going to start with providing a little bit of background on the campaign, then jump into its primary tools, tactics, and strategies. Then I'm going to evaluate these on their relationship with the campaign outcomes, and then I'm going to conclude with some key takeaways. So let's jump in. In 2014, the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge took social media by storm, raking in $115 million for ALS research in just 60 days after the campaign's first participant-generated video hit the web. In the years to follow, it would come to earn the title of, quote, the ultimate case of a technological triumph for not-for-profit fundraising. But first, to figure out how it got there, let's rewind and take a look at how it started. Unlike similar viral digital advocacy campaigns it has been compared to, like the Save Darfur movement, the Ice Bucket Challenge was not a carefully crafted marketing campaign or the fruitful efforts of an advocacy organization. In fact, the earliest related video to the Ice Bucket Challenge was not associated with ALS or any specific charity at all. It wasn't until an early participant of the challenge nominated Chris Kennedy that the campaign was first linked to ALS. He posted his Ice Bucket Challenge video on Twitter on July 15, 2014, and voila, the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge was born. You can see a screen grab of this post on the right side of this slide. Although the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge originated organically, its objectives were clear from the very beginning: to raise awareness for ALS and raise money for ALS research. In an interview, Chris Kennedy cited the first of these two objectives, describing his inaugural participation in the challenge as, quote, a small gesture enacted with the goal of bringing some awareness to this terrible disease. Just 14 days after Kennedy's post went live on the web, the ALS Association reported on the latter objective, saying, quote, they started to see an unexplained uptick in donations. By the end of 2015, this uptick grew to $138.6 million, making their 2013-2014 revenue of $24 million pale in comparison. Okay, so now that we have a general idea of the scope of the campaign, let's take a look at the tools, tactics, and strategies. Princeton University professor and social psychologist Sander van Linden has pointed to several characteristics of the campaign that may have allowed it to achieve such notable outpouring of social and financial support. Among them include its public nature, which imposes peer pressure on the nominee to participate, and the 24-hour participation deadline, which sets parameters of participation that motivate timely action. But what van der Linden describes as one of the campaign's most clever tactics is the, quote, precisely calibrated amount of self-sacrifice involved. In the case of the Ice Bucket Challenge, we know this took the form of dumping a bucket of ice water over your head and posting it to social media. The 2013 work of Christopher Olivola and Eldar Shafir support this proposition, which illustrate that willingness to contribute to a charitable or collective cause increases when the contribution process is expected to be painful and effortful rather than easy and enjoyable. This is called the martyrdom effect, and it's based on copious evidence in communication and behavioral research that finds that people attribute meaning and value from, quote, hard-earned accomplishments and the pain they endure on the road to goal achievement. One of the experiments conducted by the authors was particularly relevant to the Ice Bucket Challenge and found that a fundraising method compatible with the cause, where both might involve physical suffering, for example, apparently increased willingness to contribute. Now granted, although they vary greatly in severity, both ALS and the Ice Bucket Challenge involved a degree of physical suffering. Interestingly, the authors cite a number of the other examples of advocacy campaigns that capitalized on the martyrdom effect, such as walkathons, marathons, and even walking on hot coals, but they didn't allude to any campaigns facilitated primarily online. Likewise, when reviewing other literature on the martyrdom effect, research on its application in digital campaigns is non-existent. These findings would suggest that the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge is one of the first digital advocacy campaigns that capitalized on the martyrdom effect through a technology-mediated call to action. Beyond its implications on the martyrdom effect, the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge's ability to blend online and offline spaces was found to play a key role in mobilizing funds for ALS research. In a case study of the campaign, Karen Sutherland argues that propinquittal loops acted to blend these social media and offline environments. As a result of these loops, potential campaign donors were kept in close proximity to the cause. The asks made by the Ice Bucket Challenge made it ideal for fostering and maintaining propinquittal loops, which, according to the author, materialized in 3 stages. The first stage took place in social media, most commonly on Facebook, where the Ice Bucket Challenge nominator selected one or more nominees to participate in the campaign. Now, notably, the nominators most commonly selected individuals who they've had past relationships with, which suggests the presence of a temporal flow. This supports Kent and Taylor's communication study regarding the dialogic theoretical component of propinquity. When nominating individuals to participate in the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge, nominators invited them to undergo the same act of dumping ice water over their heads and record it to be later shared online. As a result, a main tool utilized in the campaign was not only social media, but also smartphones, cell phones, and other video recording devices that participants used to engage with the campaign. Stages 2 and 3 of loop formation consisted of participants recording themselves offline, participating in the challenge, and posting it to social media. The author highlights stage 2 as the most significant, attesting that it involved the participants addressing the call to action, personally posed to them, and undertaking the desired behavior required to be involved in the collective activity. This act proved to be tangible evidence of the individual's relationship and engagement with the cause. The loop is then completed and the process once begins again when the nominee posts a video to social media. This nomination process played a key role in how the Ice Bucket Challenge acquired participants and in turn achieved its objectives. Interestingly, participants didn't have to belong to the ALS Association or have a history of donating to the cause. Instead, they simply needed a social media account, a video recording device, and an ice-filled bucket to get involved. These circumstances mirror that of other netroop campaigns discussed by David Karpf in his 2012 book, The Move On Effect, because they mobilized participants using, quote, targeted, timely action appeals. This fluid fundraising model dissociates participation and membership from traditional barriers of organizing, such as paying dues to be a part of the organization or attending monthly meetings. Now we're going to take a look at the campaign's outcomes and determine their relationship with the campaign's tactics. Okay, so the funds raised in the campaign's first 2 months represent an increase of over 3,500% when compared to the amount raised in the same time period the year before. Donations received as a result of the campaign range from a few dollars to 200,000 and came from 3 million donors. Interestingly, over 2/3 of these donors were first-time donors, suggesting a direct link between the campaign's tactics and the fundraising outcomes. The campaign also generated more than $220 million for ALS charities around the world. More than half were located in the United States. But beyond their fundraising outcomes, the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge is assumed to have made substantial impact on the global awareness of the disease. Although not directly measurable, the growth of awareness is said to be reflected in the increase in searches about ALS on the ALSA website, which skyrocketed from 500 to 68,000 in August 2014 alone. In August 2017, the Executive Vice President of Finance and Administration at the ALSA commented on this awareness generated from the campaign, saying that the challenge brought unprecedented media exposure to the ALSA and the ALSA cause in a way that is invaluable. Apart from the money and awareness raised from the campaign, there were also some unanticipated outcomes. Gregory Mitchell, for example, described how the campaign's financial success impacted the public communication practices at the organization. It raised significant expectations and demands for transparency as to the use of the funds from both the media and the public. The campaign was also subject to a fair amount of criticisms with skeptics referring to the movement as a form of slacktivism. Others said the enormous influx in donations siphoned funds away from more pertinent causes such as heart disease and, at the time, the Ebola outbreak in West Africa. The ALSA allocated funds from the campaign to global research, service programs, and lobbying Congress to expand support for the ALS care and research. The money raised from the challenge is responsible for a number of significant advancements in ALS research, making the societal impacts of the campaign irrefutable. In the summer of 2016, for example, a gene which experts say contributes to roughly 3% of ALS cases was discovered as a direct result of the research funded by the campaign. This is one of the most significant results, but follows a number of other smaller scientific breakthroughs, including the discovery of a protein that could help determine better treatment options. The effectiveness of the campaign strategies and their influence on the successful outcomes of the campaign is reflected in the data collected regarding the campaign's prevalence on social media. According to ALSA, upwards of 17 million people participated in the challenge and shared videos on Facebook in 2014. These videos were watched by 440 million people and accumulated 10 billion views. According to the ALSA, the Ice Bucket Challenge remains the world's largest global social media phenomenon. To conclude my case study, I wanted to point out some key takeaways especially relevant for digital advocacy professionals. The first is the motivational power of a nomination versus an ask when trying to solicit donations. The nomination process not only makes the campaign personal for participants, even if they don't have a previous relationship with the cause, but it holds the nominees accountable. Klein 2014 wrote, "If you're challenged by someone to do this, then you become accountable, both to those people and to yourself, both in private and in public." This correlates with van der Linden's testament to the campaign's ability to capitalize on social influences, such as peer pressure, to achieve its desired outcomes. The campaign also illustrated how digital advocacy campaigns have the power to facilitate tangible offline actions using social media. According to Sutherland 2016, for instance, the campaign suggests that, quote, other campaigns should place focus on optimizing both social media and offline experience for stakeholders, and emphasis must also be directed to how social media interactions can be converted into offline experiences and vice versa. Thus, in designing, planning, and executing future campaigns, digital advocacy professionals should consider how online and offline experience are a holistic entity rather than two isolated interactions. Finally, the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge illustrated how fundraising campaigns may benefit from extending their call to action to involve more than just a donation. According to Olivola and Shafir 2013, charity fundraising advocates may find more success when, quote, making the task of raising money challenging for participants. Moreover, they propose that trying to appeal to hedonic desires of potential donors may actually have adverse effects on campaign outcomes, especially when the cause involves physical suffering. Future campaigns should take into consideration how the martyrdom effect has proved to impact campaign outcomes and pay specific attention to how it can be amplified using social media and propinquittal loops. Alright everyone, that's it for me. I've included a list of references if anyone would like to find out more information on the research I've discussed regarding the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge. If you have any questions for me, please feel free to attach them below in the discussion forum. Thanks!